Hey guys, Saf here, and I'm back into King Arthur Legends Rise. Thanks so much to Netmarble for sponsoring today's video. I'm going to be doing a bit of a deep dive on Bedivere. So we're going to do a bit of a skill breakdown, show you how I've kind of built him at the moment. I'm by far not as advanced as most people are in this game so far. I've been kind of playing it as the average player would, but I found it to be the #1 hero that I put in every single one of my teams. So what is Bedivere? So we got some configurations here. He has a leader bonus that is going to activate in all battles, giving me critical strike damage up, which is great if you've got a lot of critical chance, but sometimes you might want to have a bit of sustainability or maybe the critical strike chance instead. But if you've got all the really powerful gear, then obviously 20% more bonus damage is great. He's attack centric, he is a crow, and he prefers environments that are squall. If you haven't checked my previous videos, make sure you go check them out. So it kind of covers these different things. Basically means that if we put ourselves in an environment for squall, he'll gain some bonus damage. Now we've got 3 passives here. The most important thing to note about Bedivere before we dive into this is if you get Bedivere, if you haven't got him yet, you pick him up and you watch this video and think it's amazing, make sure you level one of his passives before you unlock all of his other passives, because one passive in particular is very powerful, and it is this dominant position. So when he attacks on a 3-turn cooldown, he will attack an additional time, hitting a random enemy for 110% attack, and it will ignore 20% defense. It's basically a free attack on any of his abilities, and it's very, very powerful. You really want to get these bonuses first because you'll get the cooldown reduced and then you get an extra target. Basically turns a single target burst into AoE, or if he's fighting the same target like a boss, you get a huge amount of burst. But if you upgrade him first, then he's going to unlock the other passives. And when you then try to level up these passives, you've got to basically play the RNG game, which one it's going to go to. I got Fortunate, I got the first one, and you got to go and farm these talismans of crows. And it's not easy to farm them because you can only do 5 a day, and you've got to really be starting at Master of Death 5. You can see I haven't unlocked it just yet. The other passives we've got available here is Light of Dusk. He has a 50% chance. When you book it, becomes a 100% chance to decrease passive cooldowns by 1 turn and gain Pierce increase 1 for 1 turn. Pierce increase basically ignores some more defense. So, and this on a 1 turn cooldown when you upgrade it. So this becomes a 100% chance to decrease all your passives by 1 turn and give you this bonus, which is incredibly strong. Then we also have Veteran's Valor. When you use skill 3, he's going to trigger ability switch, which is going to place a critical strike damage increase 2 on the target if you have a debuff, and he gains 2 vigor. This is on a 2-turn cooldown when you book it. Not as powerful, that one. These 2 are the ones that you really want to increase. Now, in terms of his actual abilities, you start with the Frost Weapon. I haven't been able to get the other weapons yet, but to be honest, the Frost Weapon is pretty good to get going with. You've got 3 abilities. The first ability, which is his Generator, Heart Strike will attack 1 enemy. It will do damage of 51%, and he's got a 60% chance to gain a critical strike rate increase too. Now, this is great if you haven't got a 100% crit rate, but if you've built for 100% crit rate, you're not really too interested. It doesn't really go up to 100% chance, it's 75% chance, so it's not insanely important to upgrade this ability. The 6% attack damage, though, is decent. The ability that I like the most is this Intimidation ability. You guarantee yourself that critical strike increase, which we were talking about on the basic ability there, the Generator. He's going to deal 126 damage, and then he will deal additional damage if the last hit is a critical strike. So you gain a huge amount of burst bonus damage, and you can see that the additional bucks you get here is quite strong. I use this ability on all of the bosses. Then we have his sort of 3 cost usage here, Frigid Haze. He will attack all enemies 2 times, the damage being 98%, and the attack will ignore 10%. This is kind of like the AoE ability. I prefer to use this the 2 vigor cost ability. In terms of the other weapons, it does change a little bit. The basic ability is kind of the same on every single one. Doesn't really change. What really changes is the vigor users. So on the fire weapon here, we've got to attack 1 enemy 2 times. Will deal more damage than the other one, but less additional. So this one's got a bit more upfront burst, less additional damage. You can see this one here is going to hit once and have a single burst. You lose the buff on the fire vigor 2. And then the third one here is a massive single target hit. So if I was to really want to go for a single target bonus, a boss killer build, I would go for the fire weapon because this one hits incredibly hard. Then on his sort of wind weapon here, we can gain the buff again for 3 turns, so that, you know, basically more buffs. This one is only a 1 turn, this is a 3 turn, and you will deal some damage. No additional damage here. And then finally, we have a single target again. So it depends on what you want to do. I would say, you know, this Crimson Wound is much more of a heavy single target build, but with more damage, less utility, so you need to bring more team with it, whereas this one is kind of like a balance between both, but this one is very single target focused. The starting weapon is great if you want an all-round. His 3 cost is a great AoE, the 2 cost is a great single target. It is pretty solid. Now let's talk about chivalry. These bonuses are very important. You see I was talking some things about defense, gaining pierce increase. These are gained from chivalry bonuses. You need duplicates of these. So these bonuses here, the first 4 are very useful to get. We always look at the 8th bonus here, which is really important, which is Fair Judgment. After an ally attacks, if this hero has a critical strike damage increase buff, he will deal additional damage to all enemies. He gets an extra ability on top of the other abilities. So I would really like to get these bonuses. You can see I'm up to 6. I need 2 more of them. If I get this bonus, it becomes incredibly powerful because after an ally attacks, if the hero has critical strike damage increase, which is quite good to get on other people. I think I use mine with Aina that gives that bonus. You will gain a bonus AoE attack, and that just supercharges him even further. So in terms of equipment, what have I put him in? Right now I've got him in critical strike chances and critical strike damage. I've really tried to go for as much critical strike chance as I can so that when I actually get those buffs going, he's always critically hitting and doing lots of damage. As I get a better gear, I want to move more towards getting some attack, getting some more critical strike damage. The sets I've gone for are just critical strike. There are absolutely more interesting sets you can do, and I haven't really unlocked his belt and the other sets yet. But that's what I've gone for. I focus on critical strike rate, get it up to 100%, and then go all in on the critical strike damage. And you will see, even with this, what I would call a mid to late game tier build, I wouldn't really call it a very powerful build. I'm still using 4-star gear. It can do a good job. It really pumps some damage. So let's take him into some content here. I'm in the Master of Death. This is a very important dungeon. It is where you get the material to level up your passives. I just talked about how impactful changing a passive really is. So I haven't really pushed this at all right now. It's quite a difficult boss. It's one of the bosses you see in the campaign stage. Not as difficult as the other one. Now, what you will do is you will fight a boss, which means it's mostly a single target. Most of the bosses have different components. Like you can see, he's got a right leg and a left leg. And you can always use the info tab here to basically see what those abilities are doing. So you can see that if this leg dies, there's a passive on the boss that will remove damage immunity from him, will attack himself for 15% of max HP and recharges attack gauge. So it means it gives him a turn, but you can damage him because right now at the start of battle, you can't do any damage until you take it out. So the first thing I need to do is absolutely pump away at some damage. I've got a full vigor bar here, so I can absolutely just not use too much of it. I need to beat one of the legs. So I'm going to use Tristane here. I'm going to set some buffs up here. And the reason why I'm using Aina is I'm going to be able to provide substantial amounts of buffs to my Bedivere. So I've already said that this is the button, this ability here we want to use. Single target, high intensity burst. I'm going to smash this leg for absolute insane amounts of damage. That's what I'm talking about. I hit 3 times. The first hit, the second hit, and the third hit, and we took out both of his legs. Now, Aina here, as I mentioned, has this passive that whenever I use skill 2, I get critical strike damage increase. That's a very important passive to put on Bedivere. So we're going to use this, we're going to boost it up, we're going to really start stacking his damage. Now we just need to generate some vigor back because we want to absolutely make sure that we can use Bedivere's A2 all the time. And now we're going to smash it again for more damage. And that is the absolute crazy damage that I'm talking about. Nobody can come quite close to Bedivere, my team. Now the boss is back up. There is a right leg still alive. We haven't killed that one yet, but we will absolutely go for it now. We'll take out the other leg and smash him back down again. Now, you can see that there's a time-limited debuff on the bar. This is a charge attack interrupted by abnormal status. So if you want to interrupt his charge attack, you need to apply one of these debuffs on this boss. I don't think I brought anything in here for this, so I just kind of ignore it and just pump some damage. So that's what we're really going to do. I'm just going to basically pump through the damage and kill him. I don't think any of these things can apply any sort of damage bonus. More single target damage, like I mentioned, full burst. Now, we haven't beaten the boss. There's 2 phases of this boss. If you've played this game, you already know this. We're going to fight the next phase. But you can see why I really, really like using Bedivere. He is an absolute damage monster. Now, we've got 2 left tendrils here. So again, we probably need to take the tendrils out first. So we're going to set up the buffs. And we're going to just take out 1 tendril. Pretty much, he will always take out one thing. And it means that if you are struggling with some content because you just take too much damage, just bring out the burst and he will absolutely take out the enemies. Now, you'll see the difference here. I will use the AoE as an example. It's still great damage, but it's nowhere near as impactful. It doesn't feel like it hits as hard. I absolutely, when I'm fighting single target bosses, much prefer just using that the 2 cost vigor just all the time. It's so good. We destroyed the right tendril. And because it's only 2 cost, it's quite cheap to do. More burst there. We'll get him with more damage buffs. And you can see I've really stacked it up. I've got an attack up. I've got 5% increase from pierce. I've got 40% crit rate. Remember I said I had 60%. So I'm 100% critical strike rate, 60% increased critical damage. And I've also got more effect accuracy. He's pretty much stacked up here. He's going to hit really, really hard on this next ability, which will probably just take the boss out. There it is. Absolutely just smashed and destroyed the boss. And that's a stage I wasn't able to do. Bedivere has now just pushed me through to that stage. Now let's see how much we go here. We're going to get to stage 4. It gets harder. You can see I don't really have keepsakes at the moment, so I'm below the level. But let's see if we can keep pushing. So once again, we need to take the leg out. First thing we need to do, I'm going to get all my buffs going, and we're just going to start picking on legs. So we can already see the difficulty, but look at that triple hit that I'm talking about there. That's the real value that the upgrading the passive gets. Is why you should, if you've got Bedivere, try to do the passive upgrade before you level him to maximize the first passive. That gives you much lower cooldown, and it's also giving you 2 hits, 2 random hits. That's very powerful. We're just going to go in again, and you can see the massive amounts of burst damage that he's producing is absolutely insane. Now, the nice thing about Bedivere is he can kind of go into any team as well, because he's such a strong damage dealer. He can pretty much clear all and any content. I use him all the time in my arena teams. Let's pick a pretty good, reasonable price for this. Let's fight this level 40. And we're going to basically just keep my 2 supports here. I always bring Turin and Aina because they set up the nice nighttime and rain, and also Aina is just an incredibly good support to put with Bedivere. Let's see if we can take out this arena fight. Now his upfront burst is so strong that as long as I get a turn, it's going to be fine, and I can absolutely use this to basically give me some speed up. So I'm going to do this to set up my speed, and you can see straight away I got a turn, and I can pick on one of their others. So I'm going to just take out Morgana and absolutely wreck her. And this is the thing, if you can get him going, it's absolute crazy amounts of damage. Now, we'll lose some people here because, you know, his level 60 King Arthur is going to do some work. Hopefully, we're still going to be okay. We'll find out now. Oh, that's a big hit, but we're okay. And again, we can just pick on King Arthur. And there's really nothing that can withstand the absolute ferocity of his damage. And like I said, my gear is not, I would say, anywhere near extremely powerful at this point. And he is already finding new levels of damage that nothing else in my roster can even compete with. Another one shot there. So pretty much all I have to just keep doing is one-shotting everyone in the fight. So you can use him for arena to quite a lot of success. It's a fairly evenly matched up team. I've got 1 level 60. They've got like 3 level 60s, and you know, the battle stats there pretty much show you who the dominant force is in my team. Now, in terms of restricted areas for things like the power-up dungeons, Plane of Beasts, you need a lot of hits, so you can absolutely bring him. I always do, because I have a fire weapon with Tristane. You can get this weapon from, I believe, the clan shop. This allows you to basically have 3 attacks that effectively give you like basically an insane amount of hits, 8 hits. So I can break through and then use the burst. So I use him in this dungeon pretty comfortably. Burning Land, I probably wouldn't, because there are better, you know, max HP is really what you want to do there. But absolutely in the plane of the Frozen Plane, I use him there as well. So pretty much all of these dungeons where I can use him, I absolutely use him to maximum effect, and he just breaks through anything there is. So Bedivere, the one-armed legendary, absolute monstrosity of a damage output. Definitely try to get this dominant position upgraded first. It is the real power of his ability to hit these 2 random enemies on a single target in a single encounter. That's going to absolutely destroy anyone. But I'm pretty much not anywhere near the full power curve strength, you know. At 40% crit rate here, if I can get more critical strike damage, I can get more speed on him, I can get more damage. It really makes a big difference. And I still need to level up these weapon abilities. A lot of damage sitting on these upgrade points. But even on that build there, you can see the absolute massive power of Bedivere. There you go, guys. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to play the game, make sure you click on the link in the video of my description here. You can download it, you can get yourself started to rebuilding Camelot and playing King Arthur Legends Rise. It's quite a very cool, fun game to absolutely get involved with. There's a lot of storyline in it. I highly recommend you play it if you liked this video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.